Welcome to koam-presents, a podcast produced by KOAM News Now and the 4 states' most watched news team.
Rough Country is at Carnes Pro Tire. Complement your truck or Jeep with a new Rough Country lift kit or protect your truck with a retractable or tri-fold bed cover. Only at Carnes Pro Tire and Auto Center, just south of Baxter Springs.
Did you know that Jock Stitch Sporting Goods can provide your team with fully custom uniforms? With over 35 years of experience, the experts at Jock Stitch can set your team up with the best-looking uniforms and apparel at the most competitive price possible. Specializing in discounts for your school, booster club, coaching staff, club teams, or business, you won't find a better solution. See how Jock Stitch can help your team at the corner of 6th and Broadway in downtown Pittsburgh or online at jocksnitch.com.
Sporting goods from Jock Stitch.
All right, everybody, welcome into Week 8 of koam-presents Pigskin podcast. On this episode, we're going to talk about that Carthage-Joplin thriller last week. Gerard, Chanute, and Seneca, they all got a chance to finish off perfect regular seasons this week. Frontenac and Galena meet on Friday with a district championship on the line. We've got some teams in Northeast Oklahoma tearing it up right now. In Miami and Quapaw, Colgan Panthers head coach Sean Seamater going to join us to talk about his team's 5-game winning streak. Pittsburgh State Gorillas, they made it into the top 5 in the national rankings. As always, we got plenty to talk about this week. Let's not waste any time. Let's go. All right, it's week 8 of this podcast, and I smell the playoffs coming. It's the best time of the year, man. We got conference championships, district championships, undefeated seasons on the line. It's a great time of the football season. Now, before we get too far into it, I do want to thank our sponsors, Jock's Niche, Carnes Pro Tire, Neosho Memorial Regional Medical Center, and McGavin Financial Group. Of course, I say it every week. Without those sponsors, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be able to do this podcast. So we definitely appreciate the support. Thank you for supporting local sports. Now, first off, we're going to talk a little bit about last week. I was at that Joplin-Carthage game. No doubt, 2 of the best in the state. Carthage won that thing 34-28. They blocked a field goal as time expired. Mason Freisinger returned it 80 yards for a touchdown, and that's how it ended. That's how Carthage won. Now, a couple of things on this game. I really like both of those defenses. The 2 defenses are really good, came up with turnovers early in the game. And Carthage wide receiver Hudson Moore, I knew he was a good player, right? I've seen him play before. But, man, he made a few catches on Friday night that were really unbelievable. I remember one early in the game, Carthage went for it on like a 4th and 3. I think they were in their own territory. Cooper Jadwin threw it up. It was a little high. I think he would tell you he sailed it a little bit, but Hudson Moore still went up and got it on an early 4th and 3, caught it first down, and then caught a bomb in the second half, had a defender right in his face, bobbled it a little bit, not because of anything he did. It was just the defender was right on him. Great concentration, brought it down, 56-yard touchdown. He finished the game against Joplin with 6 catches for 131 yards and a touchdown. Carthage is 7-1 now. They're going to be on the road against Willard this Friday. Labette County at Chanute. Chanute has a chance to finish off a perfect regular season at home on Friday night against the Grizzlies. Now, before the season started, I've mentioned this a couple times on this podcast. We always do our predictions and our pigskin preview, and I picked Chanute to go undefeated, and I'm not going to pat myself on the back for picking Chanute to go undefeated. That's like, like picking Lamar undefeated the last few years. It's like, it's probably going to happen. I just looked at their schedule, and I just didn't really see a competitive game on their schedule. I'm not going to lie. That proved to be correct, at least to this point. They still have Labette County on Friday. But so far, their closest game of the whole season so far was last week against Field Kinley, and they won that one by 14. Listen, they beat Pittsburgh by 15 earlier this season. That was their next closest game. Every other game on their schedule to this point, they've won by 20+. They're scoring 38 points a game, only allowing 13. Now, they did face an early deficit last week against Field Kinley, but, my only concern for Chanute, it's about to be playoff time. Have they been tested enough? And that's something I actually asked head coach Cleet Frizzell.
It kind of was that way at Coffeyville. We turned the ball over early in the first half and got ourselves down 2 touchdowns. So it was honestly probably good for us. Our kids didn't panic. They just kept playing football. Down 2 touchdowns in the first half, came back and tied it up before halftime. So, we made a lot of mistakes in that game and overcame them, and the kids really didn't panic ever. I think they were confident in their abilities. So we had a little bit of adversity there last week. But, I think our kids are seasoned, and we have a lot of leadership. I think they'll be good to go. If we get in one of those tight games in the fourth quarter, I expect our kids to rise to the occasion.
Now, if you've watched our football shows on Friday night, which I hope you have, you're obviously a football fan if you're listening to this podcast. We've showed Chanute's scores and, talked about them every week on the show, on both of our shows. Probably haven't talked about them as much as we should have because they are really good. And, they're making a little history over there at Chanute right now. Look, it just, I didn't see a competitive game on their schedule in the regular season. But we are going to be talking about them a little more as the playoffs get going. Another big one in Kansas this week, Frontenac playing Parsons. I've already said this. I knew Frontenac was going to be a lot better from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. We've said it, they lost 18 seniors from last year. They were playing a lot of new guys early in the season, yada, 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 yada. But they've been awesome the last few weeks. They had 3 straight wins over Baxter Springs, Columbus, and Parsons. That win against Parsons last week, I think I said a little bit ago that it was Frontenac playing Parsons this week. It's Frontenac at Galena, so I just want to correct that right now. They're not playing Parsons this week. They played Parsons last week. So anyways, that game, Frontenac against Parsons last week, Frontenac won that. That's a good Parsons team with a lot of offensive talent, and Frontenac held the Vikings to just 7 points in the final 3 quarters. So Frontenac, 3-0 in district play. They got a huge game coming up on Friday. Again, they are facing Galena, who is also 3-0 in district play, so the winner of that one going to earn a district championship. Now, speaking of district championship games, Girard has a chance to win a district title on Friday night hosting Burlington. Both teams are 3-0 in district play. And not only does Girard have a chance to win a district title, but they got a chance to finish off their second consecutive undefeated regular season. Now, I like a lot of things about Girard, but I've talked about that. I've talked about this before on the podcast. I really like some of their players. This is what I really like about Girard, and it's not entirely good news for like my business of being on TV and talking about sports. But one of my favorite things about Girard is they're like one of the quietest, really good teams that I've ever been around. They don't make noise really except on the football field. And I think it comes from their head coach, Neil Philpott. They're obviously very good. They got great players, but they're so focused. They're all business. I don't even feel like they care about doing stuff like this or being on TV or us putting their highlights on. I think they're indifferent to almost all of the outside noise. I feel like it's one of the most focused teams that I've covered. They care about what they're doing. They care about Friday night. They care about the week of work heading into Friday night, and that's it. And it's, what are you going to say about it? They haven't lost a game. It's working. They got some of my favorite guys over there. And listen, I'm from Yates Center, so go take care of business against Burlington on Friday night. Okay, that is our rivals in high school, just up north, up the road north from Yates Center. Just go finish it. All right. All right,
that was a nice way to say it.
Yeah. I'm trying to be family friendly here. Do your thing against Burlington. Okay, to Missouri now. Seneca hosts Nevada on Friday. Seneca have been great all season long. They're undefeated, 8-0. They've already beaten Lamar, beat McDonald County last week to earn the Big 8 West Championship. They got a chance to finish off a perfect regular season Friday night against Nevada. Now, here's their head coach, Seneca head coach Cody Hilburn, on the challenges that Nevada presents and what it would mean for his program to finish off an undefeated regular season for the first time in 20 years.
I think it would definitely say that we're battle-tested. The Big 8 West, I think, is maybe the best small conference in the state, but undefeated was never a goal of ours. Our goal in this first phase of the season was to win as many games as possible in hopes to get the 1 seed come district play. They're big and physical up front and run a very tough offense to defend, and they got the big guys up front, but they also have some really good skill guys, and it starts with the Stedman kid that really rushed for a bunch of yards on us last year, and we're going to have our hands full trying to contain him.
I can't wait for that game on Friday in Seneca. I'm going to be there. That atmosphere in Seneca is awesome. If you've never been to a high school football game in Seneca. Like, the fans will have their chairs like right behind the end zone. The bleachers are always packed, always loud. It's another thing I actually talked about with Coach Hilburn when I talked to him for this podcast. He told me that he's made sure to tell his players to appreciate the fans and the crowds. He said you go out to youth games earlier in the week and it's packed. You go out to junior high games, it's packed. You go out to our JV games, it's packed. He said I've made sure to tell my players to make sure and pay attention and appreciate the fans and the crowds there in Seneca because it's not really normal. I mean, we have a bunch of great traditions around here in Southeast Kansas, Northeast Oklahoma, and Southwest Missouri, but the amount of dedication and support from the Seneca community, even when they haven't won a lot of games in my time here, has always been good. So, Coach has kind of made sure to impress on his players. This isn't normal, even if that's what we are used to here in Seneca. All right, to Oklahoma schools. We got a couple of Oklahoma schools that are really making noise right now. First off, shout out to the Grove Ridge Runners. They're 7-0. Kind of killing everybody. They got a huge test this week against Collinsville, who was also 7-0. But I do want to talk about Quapaw and Miami. First, Miami has kind of struggled for a long time. I've been here since 2014 doing this job. I don't think I've ever seen them finish with a winning record. Their last winning season, I believe, was back in 2008 before I graduated high school. And I had hair. I had hair back then. That's how
time ago.
That's how long ago it was, right, dude? So they were 7-5 back in 2008. That was the last time they won more than 5 games. They're 5-2 right now, so they got a chance to get to 6 wins for the first time in 14 years when they hit the road to face Oolaga on Friday night. Now, Quapaw, I've talked about this team before. I really love watching this team. They just got so many players that I like to watch. Their quarterback, Jack Derringer, throws a nice ball, nice release. I love their weapons. Seth Stan Johnston, Zane Stan, Kyle Forbes. They got a bunch of good offensive weapons over there in Quapaw. They're fun to watch. Every time Seth Stan Johnston touches the ball, I just assume it's going for a touchdown, man. That guy is like he's so twitchy. He's so quick. I'm not jealous of anybody that has to try to tackle him. They got a couple guys on defense that I like. Caden Porter, just a young guy, but he's always wound up, always playing with energy out there on the field. The Wildcats are 6-1. They're on the road against Ketchum on Friday, a team that's 5-2, so a good test for Quapaw. I was at Quapaw last Thursday. It's actually the second time I've been there this season. I try to see as many good teams as I can throughout the football season. So, I've been there twice now, so, that means that I like being there. But the fans are always so nice at Quapaw. It was not the last game, but it was the first game that I was at Quapaw. I was out on the field, getting some pregame shots or whatever of huddles, and I was walking back and, I was facing the home stands, the Quapaw stands, and like a lady was up there in the stands, like waving down toward the field, and I thought she was waving at somebody behind me, so I kind of turned around and looked behind me, and there was nobody behind me, and so I looked back up, and she like pointed at me and waved at me, and I was like, I just waved back, I was right in the middle of the field. I was like, they're so nice, like the fans that are lined up down the fence line on the home side, I'm just walking up and down, and they're so friendly. They talk to me the whole game, and like, hey, did you get that? There are students there, like, hey, can we be on TV? Not like high schoolers, but, like younger kids. And the players are always nice, too. They're always nice, standing on the sideline shooting. They say, hey, thanks for coming out. Thanks for giving us love on TV, whatever. Anyways, point of the story here, I like going to Quapaw. The people there are so nice. I can't wait to go back.
That's like the gambit of atmospheres. You got Girard being super quiet, and then Quapaw is just super nice. And not to say Girard, I guess, is not nice, but just their volume.
The thing is, with Girard, they have great fans. They have loud fans. The team is like silent assassins. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. There's good football players. It's just they're so businesslike. There's no nonsense, and I really do think if you ever talk to Neil Philpott, their head coach, he's like the most no nonsense guy. Like, I want to bring them in here and be like, does Coach Philpott, does he laugh? Has anybody ever made him laugh, or has he ever cracked a joke? Which I'm sure when he's around his team, I'm sure he's a little looser than when he's around camera guy me, interrupting practice and taking his time away from his team. But I want to know.
You got to respect it.
That's where they get their business mentality, I'm sure. All right, the Colgan Panthers, smallest school in the CNC, but They're on a roll right now, 6-1 overall. They've won 5 straight games. Their head coach, Sean Seamater, joins us right after this.
Neosho Memorial in Chanute welcomes another outstanding general surgeon to its surgery center. Dr. Law joins surgeons in the field of urology, orthopedics, women's health, and general surgery. Neosho Memorial in Chanute, offering the latest technology close to home.
The advisors at McGavran Financial Group have been helping people invest today for a more enjoyable tomorrow since 1984. In Joplin, see Earl or Mike. In Pittsburgh, see Earl or Steve. McGavran Financial Group. Invest today, enjoy tomorrow.
All right, we are joined now by Colgan Panthers head coach Sean Seamater, a guy who sees me at my worst early in the morning when I'm out, walking the dog in my shorts and ratty hoodie and my coffee in hand. I guess thanks for not taking pictures and posting pictures of that.
Well, I always want to stop and roll down the window and say, you're not even a Chiefs fan. You don't even put their games on the air.
Yeah, on time. Yeah,
Yeah,
specifically.
on time.
Yell at me like that. The one guy. Yeah, most people see me in a suit or a polo or whatever. Very few people, I guess, see me looking as I don't know what you want to call it, as lazy as I do every morning. First off, all right, you guys are rolling 5 straight wins to get to 6-1. You've allowed 13 points combined in the last 4 games. What's been key to your little stretch here on defense?
First and foremost, our kids. We've got some really good football players and playing with great speed. I think that they fully understand the schemes and what they're supposed to do and where they're supposed to be. We talk all the time, alignment and assignment. It's anything in football, but especially defensively. And I think our kids do a great job of knowing where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to do. And so it allows them to play fast and get where they're supposed to be. And they're tremendous football players, and they're playing really well right now.
I know when we came and talked to you in the preseason, we talked about your early season schedule and how that would be tough and kind of strengthen you guys. Do you think playing Frontenac, Girard, Riverton right off the bat, do you think that helped you guys kind of get ahead of the curve after the first month?
Hands down, we knew coming in that even though Frontenac was breaking in a ton of new guys, they were still going to be solid. They were still going to be good. And so we knew that was going to be a good test right out of the gate. And to go get that one like we did was a huge confidence booster for us, And then we had quick turnaround with Girard, and they're rolling right now. They're really, really good. And, felt like we were going to have to play really well going into that to give ourselves a chance. And we did for a quarter and a half, and then turnovers kind of mounted. And so I think, after the turnovers against Girard, I think we went 3 or 4 weeks without turning the ball over. Unfortunately, had a couple this past week, but I think it really drove home to the kids how important it is to be locked in and focused. And then, having Riverton right after that too, I think we kind of played well early and got on a roll, and kids are playing with a lot of confidence right now.
All right, I got some of your rushing numbers here so far from this season, and you already know they look good. Cooper Simmons, nearly 700 yards, 10 touchdowns. Tucker Harrell, 400 yards, 10 touchdowns. Guys are rushing for, I think it's like 232 per game right now. Will you, talk about what's made your rushing attack successful so far this season?
Well, it starts with the guys up front. We bring back 4 out of 5 starters from last year, and we kind of took our lumps last year, played several starters, but we've got one kid that's Brody Canar is a 3-year starter for us. Jade Tinnery's he'll be a 3-year starter. He is a 3-year starter for us. He started some as a freshman, and so there's just tons of experience. And those guys, they're fast, they're physical. Again, we talked about alignment and assignment. They understand what they're supposed to do, and so we've got good size, good speed, and just good athleticism. They're an explosive group, and so they really do a great job of paving the way up front. And then Tucker and Cooper are just such phenomenal, explosive athletes. And we've got guys on the edge that block it up really well for them as well when they get into space. And and I think we've got some receivers that are good enough that teams have to respect them. So we're just playing really complementary football right now, I think. And, we've been fortunate to build some big leads early. And so obviously we want to run the ball first, but we were fortunate to jump out to a 20-0 lead against Columbus. And so we were able to run the ball, and, we didn't want to go chucking it around and allow them to get back into it. So we were able to establish the run. We were able to build big leads. So we were able to maintain those leads by keeping the ball on the ground.
I want to go back to when you came to Colgan. I think this is your 6th season. You came from Halstead, right?
Correct.
What did you know about Colgan before you got into this process of looking into this job?
I was pretty familiar with the success they had. I had watched Colgan when I was a kid in the midst of their 66-game winning streak. They had played a school up north that I had some family that was playing on that team, and of course I was 10, 12 years old or something like that, and went and watched, having no idea really who they were at the time, but learned pretty quickly. And just being around and involved with high school sports in the state of Kansas, the success and tradition that Colgan has had throughout was something that I was very familiar with. The nuts and bolts and the specifics, as far as knowing anybody at the school or even in Pittsburgh. I had been to Pittsburgh, I think, once in my life before I came to interview. So I didn't really know a whole lot about the community or the town or the school other than its success in sports.
Be honest with me. Following Chuck Smith, that's not an easy job, right? Were you nervous to follow a guy who had so much success there?
Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. There were a lot of nerves coming in, and I don't know, maybe ignorance or naivety, but it was something that interested me and intrigued me, it was big shoes to fill, and certainly something I didn't take lightly, and knew that it was high stakes.
You're kind of at a point now, you're putting your own mark on the program there at Colgan. But do you still have a chance to to visit with Coach Smith, and does he still come around?
He is, yeah. He's around pretty frequently, and we talk occasionally, and every once in a while in the summer or the winter we'll call and we'll go get coffee together and just chat. And so he's been really, really good to me. His whole family has. They've really welcomed me in with open arms and have been very good and very supportive of me and what we're doing. We keep in touch and talk fairly often.
When you look back at when you took this job, how have you changed as a coach? What are the biggest lessons you feel like you've learned, or how are you different from when you got this job?
Hopefully in a lot of ways, hopefully for the better. It probably depends on who you ask or what you looked at. I think one thing is emphasizing relationships with the kids. You come in and you talked about the high stakes and just feeling like you're kind of first time as a head coach as well. There's so many nuts and bolts behind the scenes and things to mark off and cross off and get done. And sometimes I think it can be easy to forget what it's all about, and that's the kids and building relationships with kids. You get caught up in practice plans and guys like you texting wanting to come to practice and you're trying to keep so many other people happy that you forget. So I think just emphasizing relationships with the kids and keeping them engaged and involved in what's going on and allowing them to be part of the process as well. So I think we've done a good job of letting the kids make it their own program and having buy-in and giving them a say in what's going on.
You go to a state championship right off the bat in your first year, and so you get a coach in a state championship game, man. How does that land? It's got to be that's the expectation.
Right.
You come in and do that.
Right.
I guess how do you handle that, and does that just make you more hungry to get back and do it again?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a little bit. You get there that first year, and I've heard people that have won it that say you win it and you're walking off the field and you're like, that's what it's about. That's it. And we didn't fare so well in that game, so I can't necessarily say that I have experienced that. But man, it was an outstanding ride. We had a great group of kids, great group of coaches, and everything just kind of fell in line. And we got some, had some things fall our way throughout that season. But yeah, there was certainly a level of hunger there. And then we fell just short the next year getting back. Got knocked off in the semifinals, and it's man, high school football, it's a tough landscape. Everybody's itching to get there, and so, we feel like we've kind of fallen short of that the past couple of years. And so, to be playing well and, knowing that opportunity is out there, there's certainly a lot of hunger there.
Like I said, this is your 6th season at Colgan, and you guys, play in a really tough league, and you're the smallest school in that league. And so, it's a tough regular season. But, once you get to the playoffs, you feel like you've seen some really good teams. But I want to ask you, playing some of these really good teams, the Girards, the Frontenacs, the Columbuses, the whole CNC. I asked Coach Mark Smith this a few weeks ago. Have there been players in your time as a head coach at Colgan that have kept you up on a Thursday night, or you're like, I don't know what we're going to do about this kid tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, I hate you for asking this question because there's been so many good ones that I'm going to see somebody here in the next couple of weeks and be like, you didn't mention my name and I torched you for 3 touchdowns or something like that. So, yeah, tough question. But, yeah, thinking back here recently especially, man, the run of kids that Frontenac had, I think their whole D line the last several years has just been phenomenal. You had the Dean kid that's at Oklahoma State now, and McCartney, who is our quarterback, and then he'd line up at defensive end, and Cruz Blair, who I think, in my opinion, was one of the best defensive linemen we've seen since I've been here. And just a technician that had a motor. Man, those guys were scary, and we tried to do some things, to give ourselves an advantage. And they were so good and so well coached that it didn't always work out. And then I think the Troike kid from Girard that graduated last year, same thing. He had a really good year against us as his junior year, and so going in his senior year, tried to do some things to mess with his reads and some false pulls and stuff like that. And it about one time, and that was all it took. We might get lucky and get them one time, and they figured it out in a hurry. So, again, you could go on and on and on. So just speaking recently, those are some guys. And then statewide, we've seen some really, really talented players in the playoffs too. We played Rossville a couple years ago, and they had the younger Horat kid, and then Bo Reeves was about 6'4", 215, and he'd play corner, he'd play tight end, he'd play receiver, and he was their kicker too. It's like, my goodness, what can't this kid do? And now they're both at Central Missouri, so they're really good. And then you mentioned that state championship game, year one, playing Smith Center. I think they had 5 or 6 kids from that year's senior class alone go play college football, which is immaculate from a 2-1A school. And they had a kid by the name of Kuhn that is playing at Fort Hays State now. And same type of thing, you plan for him and you scheme for him, and you might get them one time and they figure it out in a hurry, and it doesn't happen again. So there's definitely some very good players that are now having success at the college level too.
You guys play on Thursday this week.
Correct.
Do you like those? I always wonder. Do you like those Thursday games, or are they annoying? Because it's one less day you got to prepare. How did those Thursday games land for you?
I'd say it's love-hate, because the week leading up to, you hate it because we had a JV game last night, so a good chunk of our guys were gone at that. So really, you get 2 days to prepare, and then you turn right around and play on Thursday. But then it is kind of nice the weekend after. You get that Friday night where you can go watch another high school game, or take your wife on a date, or be at home for a change. So that is kind of nice, and then allows you to get up early Saturday and get right into game planning for the next week. But, we get a few of them throughout the year. I always wonder how the NFL guys handle it, because they'll play Sunday and then turn around and play again on Thursday. And, man, that's a whole different level of what they go through. So, yeah, it's a little different perspective from us. But
I'm sure you've noticed the quality of those Thursday night games hasn't been awesome.
Oh, my goodness.
No, haven't been a lot of good. But you made a good point there, taking your wife out for a date on Friday night. I bet that goes a long way, because I bet she doesn't see you very much during football season, right?
She doesn't. She doesn't.
My wife understands that. She's listening to that. She's like, she doesn't see me unless it's Sunday. So,
right.
Coach, I appreciate you coming out. Good luck this week, and thanks for always letting us, come out and interrupt practice.
Absolutely. Thank you for all that you do, getting us recognition. You do a fantastic job, and we really appreciate all that you do for our kids and our area.
All right. Thank you, Coach. All right, I'm not kidding. I walk my dog every morning before I take little man to school. It's pretty early in the morning, and Coach Seamater always passes me on my way to work, and I'm serious, man. He sees, I'm not that much of a morning person. Like, I am more of a morning person now than I was, 5 years ago. It's just what happens when you have a child. You have no choice but to be a morning person. But, dude, he sees me at my worst. He sees me, hoodie on, hood up, ratty shorts, sometimes flip-flops, wearing socks with my flip-flops, looking like a real gross individual.
You walk your dog in flip-flops?
Sometimes. I mean, it depends on what's by the door.
Okay.
Anyways, he's one of my favorite guys. He can see me like that and still want to come on and do stuff like this. All right. To the college game now. Both Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern at home this weekend. Missouri Southern hosts Emporia State. Southern coming off a 20-17 loss at Central Missouri. They're now 4-3 overall this season. They're welcoming in an Emporia State team that's 5-2. Been really good all season. They actually got votes in this week's AFCA Division II national poll. Emporia State has the second highest scoring offense in the MIAA, 34 points per game. Their quarterback, Braden Gleason, the league's leading passer, 303 yards per game. So, what I'm saying here is the Southern defense going to have their hands full on that side of the ball. And then on offense, it's going to be one of those games you got to score some points. Pittsburgh State hosting Missouri Western. The Gorillas are 7-0. They've moved up to number 5 in the latest national rankings. They beat Lincoln 49-10 last week. This Pittsburgh State defense, we've talked about them. They're really good. Local guys all over the place that are really good players. We're going to continue to give them love on the Pitt State defensive side of the ball. We will. But right now, got to give some love to the offense this week. Quarterback Chad Dodson Jr. is 3rd in the MIAA in pass yards per game, 256 yards per week. Running back Caleb Lewis, number 3 in the MIAA, 516 rush yards so far this season. And they got 4 receivers in the top 20 in the MIAA in receiving. Bryce Murphy, Neosho kid, he's 6th in the MIAA with 406 yards and 5 touchdowns. And that's with, he even set out a game. So that he is 6th in the MIAA and didn't even play one game. Devin Garrison, 8th in the MIAA in receiving, 388 yards and 3 touchdowns. Right behind him, Christian Carter, dude's fast, 9th in the MIAA, 381 yards and 3 touchdowns. Then Colby Katzis. This guy's going to be really good for a long time in a gorilla uniform. I love watching this kid. Their last home game, whoever it was. It's so hard for me to remember what happens in football season because there's so much to do every day. But Pitt State's last home game, I seriously can't even remember who they played.
Oh gosh,
doesn't matter. But anyways, I caught myself watching Colby Katzis, a wide receiver for Pittsburgh State, and I was like, this dude is roasting his defender every single play. And they went to him a couple times early. Some of them connected, some of them didn't. But I got caught watching Colby Katzis. I was like, dude, there's nothing they can do about this guy. And I don't know if it's because defenses are giving attention to guys like Bryce Murphy, Devin Garrison, Christian Carter. But what I do know is Colby Katzis is going to be a very big problem for whoever Pittsburgh State is playing for a long time.
Is that Northwest Missouri?
Yeah. Yeah, how did I forget that game?
Finally came to me.
Yeah, against Northwest Missouri. Yeah, they took a couple shots to Colby Katzis early in that game, and one of them connected, one of them didn't connect, but I caught myself watching him, and dude, it didn't matter. That's a good defense. They're good defensive players over there. There are a lot of good defensive players in the MIAA, and we'll see if they can do anything about Colby Katzis in the next few years. The Gorillas host Missouri Western at 2 o'clock on Saturday. I don't know if you saw on social media, Pitt State's making a push to try to break their attendance record, which they set back in 2012. 11,910 is their record. They put 10,108, I believe, for that Northwest game that I forgot a couple weeks ago. So, it's definitely in reach. If you're a Gorilla fan, go out there, man. It's homecoming, Missouri Western. It's a top 5 team you got at Pittsburgh State. If you're a Pittsburgh State fan, what else would you? I think the weather's supposed to be nice. It's fall.
What excuse?
Undefeated. There's nobody will give me an excuse. Nobody will have an excuse that's good enough for me. If you're a Pitt State fan,
we won't hear it.
Yeah, I will hear none of it. You should be out there. Man, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a special atmosphere. I got spoiled. Like, I went to Pittsburgh State, and I was there for the national championship year and the hosting the playoff games, and then the year after is when they set that attendance record. And that Northwest game, again, that I forgot about 2 minutes ago, was an awesome crowd. They were loud. I feel changed the game for the Gorillas in certain spots on third downs. And even I was I'm not gonna lie, I've seen rowdier crowds. I've seen more packed crowds for sure. Yeah. So,
we can get there.
Prove me wrong. Yeah, show me. Take me back to take me back to the good old days of 2011 when I was in college. Man, they packed that thing up. All right, that's the moral of the story. All right, we're done. Don't forget our football shows Friday night, KOM at 10:20 for 4 State Friday night, and then Press Box at 11 on Fox 14. Look. Go watch that Press Box show. It's at 11. It's 30 minutes. It's all high school football. It's a little looser than, most of the newscasts that you see around. We try to have a little fun with it because it's 11 o'clock and we know what audience we're talking to. So if you're if you're listening to this podcast, check us out at 11. It gives you time to get home from whatever football game you're at. Sit down, maybe take a shower. Depends on how long the road trip is. Sit down and check out it. Again, Fox 14, 11 o'clock. Friday night, It's Press Box. All right, one more time, thank you to our sponsors, Jock Snitch, Carnes Pro Tire, Neosho Memorial Regional Medical Center, and McGavran Financial Group. Go support your high school teams on Friday. Go support Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern on Saturday. Thanks so much for sticking around with us, and thanks for listening. We're done.
Rough Country is at Carnes Pro Tire. Complement your truck or Jeep with a new Rough Country lift kit or protect your truck with a retractable or tri-fold bed cover. Only at Carnes Pro Tire and Auto Center, just south of Baxter Springs.
Did you know that Jock Snitch Sporting Goods can provide your team with fully custom uniforms? With over 35 years of experience, the experts at Jock Snitch can set your team up with the best-looking uniforms and apparel at the most competitive price possible. Specializing in discounts for your school, booster club, coaching staff, club teams, or business, you won't find a better solution. See how Jock Snitch can help your team at the corner of 6th and Broadway in downtown Pittsburgh or online at jocksnitch.com.
Sporting goods from Jock Snitch.
Thank you for listening to KOAM-presents. For the latest content and local news, weather, and sports, please go to koamnewsnow.com.